The teaser trailer for Fallout 76 dropped over a week ago, and we can expect to see more details on the game in a couple of days, once Bethesda have their appearance at E3. Before that happens, I want to talk about what I'd like to see from Fallout 76. This isn't going to be a rant about me thinking the game will be terrible, nor is it meant to hype up the game. Instead, it's just designed to get all of you thinking about what could be possible in this game or any RPGs in the future. Without any more delay, let's get started. Lots of people are talking about how settlement building may feature more prominently in the upcoming Fallout game. My concerns lie more with being able to blow stuff up. We had a few different destructible assets in Fallout 4, such as sandbags and wooden crates. What I'd like to see though would be the ability to bring down entire buildings if need be. Weapons such as the missile launcher and Fat Man feel like the perfect things to take chunks out of pre-established structures. Not only is it fun to blow stuff up, but this could really change how firefights work. Fallout 4 was a solid shooter with plenty of innovations on the previous games, but there's always room for improvement. My time with the Battlefield franchise has taught me just how much can be gained from destructible environments. Just imagine stumbling across a raider outpost, and instead of just shooting them all one by one, you blow up the roof above them and the falling debris kills all of them in one fell swoop. We've been hearing about this upcoming game not being our traditional single-player experience, and this has caused a lot of people to lose their minds. So far, this hasn't worried me too much. However, I would still like to be able to play the game as more of a single-player focused experience. Ideally though, I'd also like the game to have optional co-op. If the comparisons to Ark are anything to go by, there's a good chance that this could be the case. Building up a community and defending bases would work so much better if you had co-op partners at your side. Even if the game is going to have a multiplayer element, that's no reason to ignore the importance of non-player characters. The game's going to need a wide number of interesting NPCs to keep us all entertained. This isn't to say every character we run across needs to be a bundle of charisma. Instead, the focus should really be on having a wide variety of personality types. Desperate wanderers, religious zealots, and hopeful survivors would all be staples of the wastes, so I want them to feel more like characters as opposed to random bodies that all say the same handful of sentences. It's likely we'll still end up with most of the NPCs being grouped together under a name such as Raider or Vault Guard, but if I had it my way, every character you run into would have their own name, personality, and something distinct that sets them apart. The jump between the character creator from Fallout 3 to Fallout 4 was an incredible improvement. The range of options on how you could customise character appearance led to some truly amazing renditions of a sole survivor. I doubt the character creator itself will be all that different in Fallout 76. Maybe a few different options here and there, but nothing too drastic. What I'd love to see though is a ton of aesthetic focused modding options for our equipment. I want paint jobs for not only power armour, but also weapons and standard armour or clothing. Additionally, I'd love to see lots of individual personalisations you could make to your gear. Maybe you can have a bobblehead hanging down from your belt, a playing card tucked into your helmet, or markings on your sniper rifle for each headshot you've got with that weapon. Just think of how much more personal all of your equipment would be if you had been customising it as you play. Maybe you specifically add new touches to your gear after particularly epic fights, or after completing certain quests, to remind you of them. I'm most well known for my character builds, and as such I want the skill trees to be the best they can possibly be in the upcoming game. At time of recording, we don't even know if there's going to be skill trees in the game, but assuming that there are, I want there to be a huge variety of perks that really change how the character plays. The perks that just straight up increase damage or give a boost to a certain stat tend to be quite dull, but also almost essential to making a strong build. If there was more of a focus on having the unique perks such as Mr. Sandman, Penetrator and Nerd Rage, and less of stuff like Rifleman and Sneak, then we could see some really interesting but still effective perk combinations that don't end up relying on the same basic framework. With all the rumours about the game being a multiplayer experience, a big worry that's been caused is that the game won't have an interesting story, but I don't think that has to be the case. The game is said to still have quests, and that gives the potential for there to be a great story to go along with the game. A compelling narrative is going to be essential to keep a large number of the core audience somewhat happy. I've honestly never been a huge fan of any of the main stories of the Bethesda RPGs, but there's always been interesting aspects within them that help keep the narrative engaging. Finally, we come to what I consider to be the most important feature of the game: player freedom. The more real choices I can make, and the less restrictions I have placed upon me, the happier I'll be. I don't want any areas to be locked behind quest progression, no invisible walls to restrict the player, and no essential NPCs. I'd like to be able to wander where I please and actually kill everything I run across. That's not to say I want it to be easy for this to happen, but I want it to technically be possible. A while back I was looking into doing a kill everything run of Skyrim, but there are just a ludicrous number of essential NPCs in that game. Bethesda just gave out the essential tag to anyone who even looked in the direction of a quest. When you do enough damage to kill an enemy, and they just take a knee or get knocked over for a few seconds, it really takes away immersion, and reminds you that you're just playing a video game. The same principle applies to invisible walls. I hate when games put an invisible wall instead of a real barrier. Creating impassable terrain isn't impossible, and makes the world feel more real than just running on the spot once you reach the limits of a map. I doubt I'll get the level of freedom that I want, but it will be interesting to see just how much control we have over the world we end up in. So that's the 7 things I'd love to see in Fallout 76. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see in the game, and subscribe to the channel for more Fallout 76 content in the future.